Thank you for coming along to this webinar this morning on content marketing for B2B lead generation. During this webinar, we're going to just do a very brief introduction to myself and shortlist marketing. We're going to talk about what B2B lead generation is, or certainly what it means to us at shortlist marketing. And then we're going to get into the detail of what is content marketing in terms of creating content, publishing content, and generating leads. If anybody's got any questions, please ask as we go along or save them until the end. Brief introduction to me. My name is Phil Richardson. I'm the Managing Director of Shortlist Marketing. My background's always been in sales and marketing for the last 20 years nearly. Started off in selling telecommunications products and services before moving into marketing in IT companies, latterly being the marketing director of an ERP software organization. Left there in probably 2004, 2005, so getting on for 10 years ago, setting up what has now become Shortlist Marketing. When we first set up, it was very much a traditional lead generation, direct marketing company doing telemarketing, email marketing, direct mail, and marketing data. Latterly, over the last few years, as lead generation and marketing climate has changed, then we're doing a lot more social media, of content marketing, of online marketing, etc. So integrating kind of new traditional inbound marketing with the traditional outbound, and then it's how those two combine to make very, very powerful lead generation campaigns for our clients. So very happy to talk about the products and services we do and how we can help you deliver high quality B2B sales leads. In terms of this webinar, I just wanted to talk about and lay the foundations of what my belief of lead generation is. And to me, it's a very simple concept, lead generation. It's difficult to implement, but the kind of thought behind it is relatively simple. It's engaging with the people in your target market and then managing the people within your target market until a point they're ready to start the sales process. So I think there's the two distinct areas. You've got marketing handles lead generation in terms of the theory of it and actually the implementation, and then moves it over to the sales team once they're ready to begin a sales dialogue. It might be the same people, so it might always be the salespeople that do the lead generation, but I think for me it's worth looking at it, one, in terms of marketing, and then moving over into the sales. I think lead generation has changed hugely, certainly since I started it, probably kind of 15 years ago now, probably more than that, 18 years ago. Lead generation back then was a lot simpler, I think, in terms of how we went about, and certainly the engagement part of it. We were beginning to use email marketing, we were using telemarketing, we were using direct mail, data, events, advertising, PR, etc., to engage and to manage our target market. And if you look now on lead generation, you've still got all of those traditional marketing methods, but you've also got things like search engine optimization, you've got online marketing, you've got social marketing, etc. There's so many different ways now of engaging with your target market. The people within your target market have also got a lot more intelligent when it comes to marketing methods. People don't like being sold to. People have never liked being sold to, but I think people are a lot more aware of just how you are selling to them, and that really turns off a lot of your prospects. So I think they're some of the biggest challenges. It's how do you get through to the key decision makers against all of the competition that you've got. So you think you're creating content, you're marketing to your target market, so is your competition, or your direct competition, plus all of your indirect competition. So if you're targeting the IT director of a large manufacturing company, he'll be getting dozens of companies email and try and get him to read their content on a daily basis. So it's how do you get through all that and make sure you're one of the companies that's being considered and you actually get on his shortlist when it comes to buying your products and services. And that's exactly what we do as a business, and that's one of the things one of the main reasons for putting this webinar on, about how we can use content marketing to do that. Um, so really that brings us on to what is content marketing. As the name suggests, obviously it's using content to market your products and services. It's it's been around for a long time. I remember back in the mid-late 90s, we'd developed a white paper on a guide to selecting and implementing ERP software. So this was when I really got into kind of content marketing, because we developed that. It was on a CD-ROM at the time, and we sent out direct mail letters with fax back forms for people to request a copy of this, or we were sending out emails for people to contact us. We did have pages on the website so that people could request a copy that had to be posted out to them. And within the first 12 months of us launching that, we'd actually got something in the region of 700 companies looking to buy, or certainly looking to request more information from us. So those 700 companies, in the first 18 months, something like 55% of all customers had downloaded that guide at some time or requested that guide at some time. So it was at that point I realized just how powerful content marketing can be. In the previous slide, talked about the changes. What I just thought would be quite interesting would be to go through and look at look at exactly how many people are doing guides like that now. So here we are in Google. So if I put guide to selecting and implementing ERP software, excuse the typo, I'm sure Google will know what I meant. Yeah, so we can see straight away we've got 10 steps to ERP selection, ERP implementation, ERP systems guide, formal ERP selection guide. So we've got 10 on the first page. We go forward a number of pages, 10 steps to ERP implementation, ERP selection and implementation. So now we're up to 60. Again, we'll move forward, ERP implementation planning guide, key issues with ERP selection. So as we go through Google, we can see dozens of them. 8 steps to selecting the right ERP software. So we're looking at 20, 30 pages of guides just around a relatively niche software of ERP. So this is what you're up against. When we created our guide, we were the first company to do that, which is why it was so successful. Now, we're finding that not only are you not the first, but there's hundreds of other companies that are doing something very similar. So it's how do you make sure you're one of the companies to be your content to be read. So I think there's some of the challenges, and for many companies I've put that it is a game changer. Now that's quite a bold statement, and I think it all comes down to how you think about marketing. And I know when we're with clients and we're helping them with their content marketing strategy, we're helping them plan their content marketing, the big thing that it's all about is it's all about your prospect or your customer. It's all about understanding what they do, understanding how they interact, understanding how they buy, understanding everything that you can about your prospect or your customer, which is why it's a game changer. And I think everybody has talked about that, but it's only when you start writing content that then you see isn't being read or you're getting negative comments instantly, you see that you need to create very, very good content so that it can be delivered. The only way of doing that, and that's what we're going to talk about shortly, is creating content that's very, very specific to your exact target market. It's also central to your lead generation activity, which is why content marketing is so important. And again, it sounds a bit kind of bold to say that, but it's everything from when our telemarketing team or speaking to people on the phone, they'll often send out white papers or they'll send out case studies on the back of that, sending out emails linking through to white papers and to case studies, etc. It also is what you're doing in terms of Twitter or your social media, the posts you're putting on LinkedIn. So content marketing really is central to all of your lead generation activity. So the three areas that I want to talk about mainly are creating your content, publishing your content, and then kind of how you turn that into generating actual leads. So creating your content is always one that people struggle with. Because it's what do we have to send out, and we need to come up with something new all the time. How do we do that? How do I know what's going to be interesting? And to me, that comes down to what the effort that you put in initially. And there's two areas that we spend a lot of time with clients going through if we're working with them on a kind of a content marketing strategy. The first one is the keyword analysis. Keywords people will have known going back to kind of search engine optimization over the last 10 years, where back in when keywords first came around, it was having lots of your keywords on white text on a white background to try and convince Google that you're talking about that topic. Whereas for me, keywords go a lot further than that, especially when it comes to creating your content. Your keywords are exactly what they say. It's the words that are key to your target market. It has nothing to do with you. It's got nothing to do with what you want to say. It's everything to do with your target market. Again, one of the things that a lot of companies are guilty of is when they come to their keyword analysis, they'll get the marketeers will sit in a room and they'll come up with 15 keywords. Yeah, that's great, but that's just looking at the marketing's perspective on what the keywords are. For me, you need to be talking to your target market. So that's talking to your telemarketing team, the people that speak to your prospect on a daily basis. What questions are they being asked? What is it that your prospects are asking? Again, speaking to your salespeople. What is it that your prospects, when they're getting into deep conversations, want to know about? What are their problems? What are their business pains that they're going through? Again, monitoring what's going on social media, so doing searches within Twitter to see what the market's talking about, looking at LinkedIn, looking at magazines, reading what's going on online and people's blogs, etc., to then come up with your keywords that you want to talk about. I say you want to talk about, that your market wants you to talk about, that your market is actually looking for. So your keyword analysis is absolutely key. We made a mistake a few years ago. It was when demand generation was coming in place of lead generation, or so we thought, and it was a very American term that was coming over. So we decided to change how we marketed ourselves. So instead of being B2B lead generation, we were demand generation experts. So we changed a lot of our white papers, we changed a lot of the website, etc., and the emails that we were sending out. And then we reviewed it over the few weeks or the few months to see the results, and we were finding our emails were having less opens and less clicks. Our visitors were down on the website. People weren't reading the white papers, etc., because nobody cared about demand generation. Yes, we thought we'll be at the front of the kind of the curve. This is an American term that's coming over, but our target market really didn't care about demand generation. They still looked at lead generation, B2B sales leads. How do I get in front of prospects? How do I get onto a prospect shortlist? They were the things that our prospects were looking for, not demand generation. So it's crucial that it's all about your target market and nothing to do with what you want to say. And then the next part that we generally go through before we do any kind of content strategy is the buyer profile. And this is something that a lot of people think they do. A lot of our target market think they actually do. Because you start talking about kind of target market and say, yeah, we've got a good database. So it's not data at this point that I'm talking about. It's actually really understanding the marketplace that you operate in and then what you can offer to that marketplace. So it'll be looking at things like how your marketplace buys, how they use social media, the pains that they're going through in business, the searches that they use on Google, so using the Google keyword tools. It'll be looking at, is there a difference geographically? So would you want to put the same message to the people in the northeast of England that you would into the southwest or to the southeast, or do they have slightly different buyer profiles? So what is it that are getting the different industries, if you target different industries? So if you target manufacturing, that's going to have a very different message than if you're targeting retail or if you're targeting professional services, etc. And all of these, you'll need to go to as much detail as you can, because once you combine your buyer profile and a good understanding of your target market with the keyword analysis that you've done, then you'll find that a lot of the content that you create comes out of it naturally, because you'll be understanding, is there a skepticism that your market has around whether your products and services can actually deliver? Again, if we go back to ERP, it's kind of an area that I know a lot about. By now, we're coming onto the kind of the second and third generation ERP systems. Traditionally, lots of people, for lots of reasons, haven't got the benefits that the sales team said they'd get when they spent all this money on a new ERP system. So there is a natural skepticism within the market about going out and spending hundreds of thousands of pounds on a new ERP system. So if we just send out lots of messages saying, this is how you select a new one, is that really the best thing, or should we be spending more time putting out information about return on investment or case studies or how other people have benefited from ERP systems? So it's that level of kind of granularity that you need when you're doing your buyer profile. Again, I think it's important not just to do this from a marketing perspective, but also important to do it to get everybody involved in the company, from the senior managers, directors, the salespeople, everybody who's got knowledge, people that are doing the implementation. Exactly the same thing. They're often people that are going out and spending a lot of time with your customers. Pre-sales, again, spend a lot of time with your salespeople, with your prospects. So you can get a lot of great information about what really drives them and what are the motivators for change and what information they look around for. And I think that's key. And again, you'll have your buyer profile you'll have lots of different buyer profiles. So it might be that you are targeting people geographically with slightly different messages. So it's having as many different groups as you can. So instead of just having one white paper, you might have multiple white papers that you're creating, or different blogs for different areas and different targets that you've got. So those two, the keyword analysis and the buyer profile, are absolutely crucial for then understanding A, what content you need to create, and then B, how we're actually going to communicate that content. Very briefly, in terms of the type of content that there is, and you'll have seen all of these, everybody's on a webinar today. Again, webinars are a great way of engaging with the target market and distributing information. White papers, testimonials, podcasts. I was listening to a podcast this morning. Guides, so a guide to selecting a telemarketing company, or etc. Lists, again, are relatively short. 5 best ways to get your emails opened, or the 10 best ERP systems out there, or depending on what it is that, again, your customers want, they're normally very short and very punchy. It might be that you've got walkthroughs of software or demos, or information that you can give out on your products, etc. Infographics are one that people are spending an awful amount of time and money creating at the moment, because it's very visual and you can take a lot of the messages off there very, very quickly. So now what you should have had is you've got your buyer profile, you understand the keywords that you need to be talking about, and we've looked at the different types of content that's available. So it's then the crucial thing is actually creating a content schedule. And this will be something that you'll have heard lots of times, that you need to be consistent in the content that you're creating, and especially when you're sending it out. So if you're writing blogs and you start off writing, you've thought about it, so you've got 3 or 4 blog posts out today, I'll do one a week, and I'm going to do it on a Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. Fantastic. But then on week 5, you've run out of ideas, and it's like, okay, so then it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks before another blog gets written. The reason for having the content schedule, it means that you know weeks in advance exactly what it is that you're going to be writing about when you need to create your content. And we've talked about sending blogs out or posting blogs at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. That doesn't mean that you're going to have 30 people sat there waiting for your new content to be promoted, but it does mean that people get used to it over time, and content marketing is a very long-term strategy. And over time, it means that people are used to a certain time information will be sent out. It'll also be at the time that you're utilising Twitter, you're utilising LinkedIn to push this new content out there at the same time, every week, every fortnight, every month, every day, depending on when it is that you've got it. Yes, you can put out lots of other tweets in between those, or posts on LinkedIn or Facebook, Google+, etc. But that schedule shows you when you're going to create your new content and when you're going to promote that content initially. So those four are absolutely crucial to go through, and it's that effort that you put in at the beginning which will pay dividends as you go down the line. But there is a lot of work there, and we can spend quite some time with our customers on coming up with that kind of content schedule based on the three things above it. Okay. Any questions on anything we've got so far? No? Yeah.
We don't do it, although I'd like to do it.
Okay.
But are we talking about blogging just on the website, or are there other places where we can do blogging?
I'll talk about that. I am going to come into that very shortly and look at different reasons why you'd use blogs. Okay. But if I've not answered it completely come the end, ask me again and we can go through that. Yeah, okay. Okay, so if we move on to publishing your content, and this is partly where blogging will come in. A statistic there, and for the life of me, I've been trying to find this statistic again and I can't, so you'll just have to trust me that I did read it and haven't just made it up. But I read that over 60% of all content is never read. Now, on one side of it, that's kind of shocking that 60% of the effort that people put in is just being wasted because it's not being read, it's not being published. Nobody's getting any benefit from it, and nobody's getting the benefit of the knowledge that you're pushing out there in your content. So that, in one side of it, is shocking. The other side of it, when we looked at the kind of the guide to selecting ERP systems, the fact that you've got hundreds and hundreds of different guides out there, not all of them can be read. So although it does seem shocking, and a very high percentage, it kind of doesn't surprise me. So the next thing I've talked about knowing is knowing your market when it comes to publishing content. So it goes back to the slide that we've just seen. It's all about understanding what your market's going to be doing. And I don't know if anybody's seen the adverts, I've just had a couple of weeks off, so part of that I was away and part of that I was at home, and I did end up watching some daytime TV, and which are doing a big campaign at the moment, and they've got a guide to selecting laptops. Now, they're obviously aiming this at people who are retired, people who are pensioners, people who don't know much about technology, and so they're doing a lot of television advertising. So they've got this great guide, and I have requested it for today. It hasn't arrived, unfortunately. They've created this great guide on how to laptops, and they using the television will be on that guide is that click here to request a regular subscription to WIP. So that's something, so they know their market. They've created very good content, they know their market, and they've used very traditional advertising to get it out there to their own market. And so really there's a number of different you've got. It might be got telemarketing people speaking hospital market. A great example of this is one of our clients who were for enterprises, so enterprise platform. Lots of people that are telemarketing people saying, yeah, we're just looking at how we can mobilise our workforce, we're creating a mobile strategy. And that's fantastic. Yeah, they're not ready to move been confidential. Depending on out when they'll be ready for review. Again, look at the so again, it might be that you send that out over direct. We're doing a big campaign at the moment. We're doing postcards. I know there's a few people sending today. We've received postcards. But again, you're using traditional mediums. Sorry, I'm just seeing that people are having problems with sound. I know there's somebody on the phone who's got it on. Has somebody got it on hands-free? Hello? Right. Is that help? So there's been a few messages come in to say there's problems with sound. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So I'll continue, and hopefully we'll find that that's better. Okay, that's better. Excellent. So we've talked about kind of telemarketing, we've talked about direct mail, and so this is good content that you're sending out traditionally. And then you've also got kind of online and social, so you might be tweeting about it, you might be sending it out on LinkedIn and through your company page, which I'd recommend everybody has a good quality company page on LinkedIn, a good company page on Google+. For some companies, Facebook, not for us, but for some companies, Facebook is very applicable. So it's looking at the different methods, and again, it comes down to knowing your market and the effort you put in to begin with to know your market, and then knowing what channel to use. One of the things that somebody asked about was blogging and actually using blogging. And to me, I think blogging is a great way of generating leads from your content. If I just move the slide so it kind of comes into turning content into leads. Because the blog goes onto your website, and it can be used in a number of different ways. And again, what I want to do is just go in and share my computer with people. I'll give you a few examples of people that are using their blog on their website very successfully. Okay, so can everybody see my screen now? Hopefully that'll all come up. One of the things that you can do for blogs, it's very good if you've done your keyword analysis and you've looked on Google and you know what people are looking for. It's very good from a search engine perspective of utilizing long tail keywords. A long tail keyword is just a phrase that, so in our example, you've got B2B lead generation, or lead generation is a short tail keyword. A long tail keyword would be, I'll just do it, does content marketing help B2B lead generation? So there you've got one which would be a long tail keyword. And if we look at that, we can see that there was a post we posted on the 4th of July, knowing that that was a phrase that people had been searching for on Google, that suddenly we're on page 1 after, 20 days and 2 weeks of being on holiday, that we're on page 1 of the second down of within Google. So it's very good at helping get some of there's a lot less people search for that. There might only be half a dozen people a month or 5 people a month search for that keyword. But it means that they're going to see what we do, and then we have 2 or 3 all around the same kind of content area, linking them all together, and then suddenly Google starts looking at us and thinking, okay, these people are experts in content marketing and in B2B lead generation. So it helps us promote ourselves on some of the more kind of specific B2B lead generation type phrases as well. So I think it's very good knowing the keywords that your market's looking for. You then come up with a blog title which is exactly the same as those keywords, and then you promote it within the keywords on page SEO to help you get very high up in the search rankings. So that's one good thing about blogging. It can make Google think that you're very, very good because you've got lots of good content in these quite niche areas and they're all linked together. But I also want to show with you briefly a company that I think are the best. I'd love to say it's us, but again, we're a small company, a relatively small company, and have exactly the same constraints as you will have, that we don't have a big kind of content marketing team sat there creating one. But the company that I think is probably the best around the whole content field is Salesforce.com. And yes, they do have probably 100 people creating content for them, but the thing that I take out of it is this is what we need to be doing. Yes, we'll never do it as regularly as Salesforce do, but this is the benchmark that we need to be meeting whenever we publish any content. And what you'll find, and I'm just in Salesforce's LinkedIn page, and we can see straight away that they've got 290,000 followers. So all of those will get notifications, or we'll be able to see on the timeline when Salesforce publish some new content. And they've got lots of different areas of content. And they've got an infographic down here which was talking about social selling. Is the new breed, and here's how to do it right. So it's a very simple graphic, but we can also go through, I think that's the one, and look at that on their blog. Yep. So do's and don'ts of social selling. So this is another reason for doing the blog, because all of your other content is driving you through to your blog. And so on here, this is free content that they've given away. There's a video on it, or there's a slide share on there as well to help people. But then at the bottom, and this is the key part, they've got a call to action. The best salespeople are becoming their own CMOs. So, okay, I've just read some content on the free blog. That's good. I'll have a look at that. So now I need to go through, and straight away I've got to sign up to get that ebook from them. But I'm more likely to do that because I've just seen some content that they've created and I thought that was actually quite useful, so I will sign up. And as soon as they've got the name, job title, email, company name and phone number, then what are they going to do? They've got a team of telemarketing people excuse me, that are going to call them up. They've got their email address so that they can do regular communication to them. So this is where we start getting the leads coming in from the content that you're creating. So if you're publishing it on LinkedIn, if you're publishing your blogs on Twitter, etc., on every blog you should then have a link to other content that they need to register for. So it might be that you've got a webinar on content marketing like we're doing, and from each of the blogs we do around content marketing, there's click here to register for our webinar on generating leads from content marketing. So it's trying to tie all of it in together. That doesn't mean that you need a new white paper every time we write a blog. You could have 5 or 6 blogs all promoting and all talking about the same areas as your white paper or your webinar or other information, and it's that information that you can get people to register for. And then suddenly you've got a reason to call these people, you've got a reason to find out why or what interest they've got, or if they don't have an interest now, when will they have an interest, so that your salespeople, whether that's on the telephone or field sales, can get back in touch with them. So that's the approach that Salesforce has taken. The content is there purely to get people to register for their ebooks, or their blog, and Twitter and LinkedIn is to get people to register. Yes, they're giving lots of good information away, they're improving the awareness of them, they're making themselves be seen as kind of thought leaders within their marketplace, but essentially it's all there for one reason, and that's to get details and to get new customers. The other thing that Salesforce do very well is the content isn't salesy content. Some of it is, but most of it isn't. Entrepreneurial lessons from the moon landing. Again, I mean, you look at that and you think, well, what's that got to do with Salesforce? And you go into it and they've got various lessons that can be brought back to kind of what they talk about. Get there first, unite around the dream, etc. All of it can then be coming down to this white paper on your small business can create big results. Again, they've thought about it and they've got a white paper that's applicable to what seems like a bit of fun content, a blog that they've created, and then they've marketed it very well. And then, again, the importance of small business blogging and how to get started. That, again, doesn't seem to be completely applicable to CRM software, but they know that's what their target market is interested in. 25 marketing automation tips for sales. Again, it's information that their target market's interested in. It's not, why do you want a CRM system, or it's not Salesforce, the best CRM system in the world. It's actually looking at their target market and coming up with content that is applicable to them. You asked a question about posting blogs, and there are sites like Google Blogger, etc., which you can link into your blogs and then that can be posted. But again, because of a lot of the rise of social media, things like LinkedIn, things like Twitter, so a lot of it is they're self-published now, as opposed to using Blogger or things like that for the majority of them. So it's once you've written a blog, it's then promoting that blog well to your followers. Again, and this is why I keep saying it is a long-term strategy, because what you don't want to do is be creating all this, spend all your time coming up with blogs and coming up with content and then promoting them on Twitter, and you've only got 3 followers on Twitter. So yes, you do need to get good content to build up Twitter followers, but then it's also about looking at other ways that you can integrate, and I don't spend too much time on social media, your social media profiles to increase your followers, etc., so that you are getting your content read, but it does take some time to be able to do that. So in the early stages, it might be that you only want to do them once a week, once a month, etc., something that's realistic, that's not going to take up all of your time when you've got so few followers. But again, LinkedIn is a great one. This is the Salesforce page on LinkedIn. So if people don't have a company page, then I'd recommend that's one of the first things you do this afternoon. You then get all of your staff to promote it, go out to your all of the links that you've got within LinkedIn. So a lot of you will have hundreds of contacts, promote it to them, and then every time you make a post, you can then go through, you can like it, you can get your staff to like it, they can share it. So suddenly, everybody's sharing your posts, all of them driving people back to the blog on your website, but you're just using social media to promote them. So I think that's one of the great ways of getting kind of leads from the content that you create. There are some other areas as well. One of the things that we do a lot of for clients is actually look at the people that are visiting websites. So again, having the blog on your website is crucial, because then you can actually track through Google Analytics, etc., the people that are visiting that blog post or your website in general. So this, for us, this is ours over the last couple of weeks, and the people that have actually come on to our website. We don't get that many, and it's something we're trying to improve. But as you go through, there's an option to look at technology and network, which then gives you the domain of the people that have visited your site. Now, you can't get it for all of your contacts, but depending on the size of the organizations that you target, you might be able to get it for kind of 20-25% of your visitors. So as we go through, we can see that Inspire have been on. I know they were registered. I'm not sure if you're on now. So again, one of the things that our telemarketing team is just go through, do a quick search. All right, okay, equipment rental software. They're right in our target market. We'll find out a bit more about them, add them to our CRM system if they're not already on there, and we'll give them a call to understand why is it that somebody's been looking at our website. Now, it might be that they're just having a cup of coffee and they've got no interest whatsoever. Or in one of our cases, for one of our clients who produce, they write purchase to pay software for enterprises, Orange had been on to look at their website. Because we know the types of people, it's going to be a finance director, it's going to be a purchasing director. We did some investigation of the different people within Orange, spoke to the person that ended up going onto their website. Yes, they had a project on to look for purchase to pay software, and we got our clients sat in front of them, all coming from the Google, all coming from the Google Analytics, so that we can see who had actually visited. So we can see that Xavient Technologies have been on there, Bartia, Telenet, Qmatic, Spitfire. So there's a lot of companies there that we just, all we do, you just saw how we do it. It's just right click on them, highlight, right click on them, have a look at the company. So Briggs Equipment UK Limited. Are they then, all right, they do forklift trucks, so they sell business to business. So again, let's give them a call and let's see and understand what it is that they're looking for. So all of this content that we've got, we're driving people through to our website and through to our blogs that we've created, which then means that we can start utilizing things like telemarketing to give them a call, or if they're registered to download or registered to attend one of our webinars or download a white paper, everybody will get a call from our telemarketing team to make sure that the information was sent over answers the questions, make sure it was relevant, etc. But also, crucially, to understand, are they looking around in the market at the moment? If not, fine. Is there anything else we can help with? When might they be? It might be in 6 months, it might be in 12 months, it might be in 2 years' time. But that's great, because even if it is in 2 years' time and we put another call in a year's time, 18 months' time, we've still got a reference that we can refer back to. So yes, we're using the content for the initial engagement, but then we're also integrating that with telemarketing, etc., to progress them along the pipeline from just being a follower on Twitter or somebody that has read some of our content to actually now they are a real live prospect. Some of that will happen very quickly, but a lot of it happens over time as you get more and more people reading the content that you've created. Likewise, once we've spoken to somebody, if somebody gets one of our white papers on building and maintaining marketing data, they might have no requirements at the moment, but it'll be okay. They might be looking in 6 months, so in a few months' time we could send them a case study on the return on investment that one of our clients has got from us doing data cleansing for them or data building. Or if they're looking at telemarketing, we can send them another white paper in a few months on how to choose a telemarketing partner. So because, again, it's not just, we don't just leave it at the content creation, just leave it that somebody's registered. We actually speak to everybody and we understand their requirements. We're able to manage them through the sales process and through the sales funnel a lot easier because we've got that knowledge. And then all the good content we're creating, we can make a much more personalized email for them when we send it to them in the future. So it's not just about having your blog, putting your blog there and then leaving it and hoping people are reading it. It's about creating that blog, having links through to call to actions, through to white papers, webinars, other content that people will register for. It's about following up the people that have visited on your website. We're also starting to use chat, and we use something called Zopim. I've just come on, excuse me, I'm just seeing a message there that they're stabilizing a wormhole. I've never seen that, so I'm not sure what that's about, but this is the dashboard. So utilizing, this is Zopim chat, so at any time we can, if somebody's been on our website a few times, we can just put a very inobtrusive message about is there anything that we can help with, or if they're reading white papers, is there any other knowledge that they've got. So again, it's driving people through good quality content through to our website, and then using different ways to engage with them if they're not actually registering for more information. So I think it's relatively new for us, and we're having to be quite careful because I'm aware that I can sometimes go on and get annoyed with people that are trying to chat with me. But at the moment we're having some very good conversations with people, and again, because we're trying to drive them through to a telemarketing call, we're answering the questions on the chat and then saying, can we arrange a time to give you a call? And instantly it's, yep, okay, give us a call tomorrow morning at 10. Because we're helping them and because we've got content that's drawing them in, it's not seen as sales. It's all seen as giving them the information that's helping them make decisions, as opposed to, we'll tell you how great we are and come and buy from us. So it's everything that we're doing is trying to give information to our target market to hopefully build relationships for them to have trust in us and then hopefully to buy services from us. So there's a few examples of kind of how we use kind of content marketing to, I'm just going back to the presentation, how we use content marketing to generate our leads for us. And what that means that things like cold calling that we're doing is dropping off, and we're doing this for clients as well. So we might do a lot less cold calling for clients because we're doing a lot of this integration of social and online and content marketing, and then being a lot more targeted in the calls that we do. And again, if we're just talking to clients and we're helping set this up, it's then making sure that they've got their internal telemarketing teams, they've got their internal salespeople to do this follow-up and making sure that the opportunities, whether they come through registrations, whether they come through website visitors, whether they respond to call to actions, etc., are all being followed up properly. There's a company that HubSpot, probably most people are aware of who HubSpot are, a phenomenally successful company that sells marketing or automation software. And they're of the opinion that traditional direct marketing is dead and you don't need to do it, so it's all about inbound. One of my frustrations with them is that I've responded to a lot of their marketing, they send me some very good marketing collateral, but I'm looking at one of their competitors, Marketo, because nobody from HubSpot's ever called me. So you think, well, what's the point of having all of my details, having all of this information? I don't know how to get them to sell to me. So I'm looking at their competitor, who have, once I registered with them and looked at some of their white papers, called me up straight away. And it was a few months ago, and it's taken a few months to get to the point where we are seriously looking into these now. And HubSpot continue to send me lots of information, but they're never actually picking up the phone. They're never actually calling me about, are we serious? So to me, the best way of turning content into leads is when you integrate it into the other marketing that you do, your telemarketing teams call them, your salespeople call them, which then means doing all of the work that we've talked about previously. I'm aware of time, we've only got one more slide to do, and that's just a conclusion. So it's making sure that everything that you do is aimed at giving good quality content. So that's the best way of maximizing the leads, and remembering that it's got nothing to do with you. And I mean that in the best way. It's all about your customers. What you want to say is irrelevant. What your customers and your prospects want to hear is the absolute key. Just because you sat there, and I do it myself, I'll sit there at I'll wake up at 4 in the morning, decide to create a white paper, I'll decide to create a blog, but I'm thinking about what do I want to say, as opposed to what do the prospects want to hear. So preparation is key. It's understanding your keywords. It's understanding your buyers and the behavior. These are people that you're marketing to. It's not just a target market of 8,000 companies, or these are all individuals. So it's that preparation. It's understanding what they want, when they want it, the burning questions that they've got. It's looking at what are their drivers at the moment. It's also having your schedule, but then also being able to change that schedule depending on events that happen elsewhere. again, one of our clients, it was probably one of our most successful kind of campaigns that we had, and it was when the horse meat scandal was, and they sold traceability solutions to the food and drink processing companies. So as the horse meat scandal was, we kind of jumped on the back of all the publicity, started creating some content about how to have good traceability solutions, and that was the basis of kind of email marketing, telemarketing, and the content marketing and social campaigns that we did for them. And again, because that happened overnight, we couldn't really put it into the schedule, but we piggybacked on the back of it, and a lot of the content was created for us by the BBC, by Sky, by the news agencies, by the government, etc. So we just piggybacked on a lot of that, and then gave answers to the questions that a lot of the market had at the time. So yes, you do need that schedule, but you also need to be able to be flexible with your schedule depending on what happens. Again, is there anything coming out of Europe or out of the government that may bring in confusion? So are the changes in legislation, etc. Again, for us in the marketing, there's always legislation around the corporate telephone preference service or email marketing or guidelines, etc. that we can use, and that's where a lot of our content can come from. So it's having that schedule, but then also being able to be reactive to what's going on within your target market. It's also, you need to be aware that it doesn't happen overnight. If you're doing cold calling, just doing telemarketing, yes, you'll find some instant opportunities. You'll have some people who are looking immediately for your products and services. If you're utilizing content marketing, it's a lot longer term goal. It might take 6 months, it might take 18 months before you really start seeing a shift away from some of your other marketing activities and getting lots more leads coming through content marketing and then following up the content marketing. So it's worth being persistent as long as you are seeing some kind of improvements along the way. And then the final thing is be consistent. And I know for us, we have exactly the same issue. We start off and it's like, right, this is what we're going to do, and we have the schedule that we've got, and then we don't amend the schedule, we don't go back to it, and then it comes to the end of the schedule and we've kind of run out of things to say, and so we leave it for a few weeks, and then we start again and we have another push, where it's a lot easier if you get that schedule going, you continue with the schedule, and you stick to it, and then you keep it kind of as a rolling 3-month schedule as activity. And hopefully, if you do all of those, you'll find that you aren't one of the 60% whose content isn't read, so your content is being read, and you're actually getting some good quality sales leads coming out of the content that you create. Okay. Well, that covers everything really I wanted to go through. Has anybody got any questions? Yep. Okay, well, if anybody does have any questions, it'll be Fee or somebody will be giving you over the next couple of days. But thank you all very much for coming along. And if you do want to speak to us about how we can help with content creation or lead generation in general, we'd be very happy to talk to you in more detail.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you. Cheers. Bye. Bye.
The cooler. Has gone. The cooler. Has gone. The cooler.
Be patient.
Cooler.
Ari Hassan.
Has gone. The cooler.
Georgie.